for coming to pay the honor, Mrs. Lau. Let's begin with the scripture reading first. Scripture reading is from the book of Proverbs, chapter 31, the verses 10 to 20. Who may make discovery of a woman of virtue? For her price is much higher than jewel. The heart of her husband has faith in her, and he will have profit in full measure. She does him good and not evil at all the days of her life. She gets the wool and linen, working at the business of her hands. She's like a trading ship, getting food from far away. She gets up while it is still night, and gives meat to her family, and their food to be her servant girls. After looking at a field with care, she gets it for price, planting a wine garden with the profit of her work. She puts a band of strings round her and makes her arms strong. She sees that marketing is all profit to her. Her light does not go out by night. She puts her hands to the carved working rod, and her fingers takes the wheel. Her hands are stretched out to the poor, yet she is open-handed to those who are in need. 讀經箴言31章10節至20節，才德的婦人誰能得着呢？她的價值遠勝過珍珠。她丈夫心裏倚靠她，必不缺少利益。她一生使丈夫有益無損。她尋找羊絨和麻，甘心用手作工。她好像商船從遠方運糧來。未到黎明，他就起來，把食物分給家中的人，將當作的工分派婢女。他想得田地就買來，用手所得之利栽種葡萄園。他以能力束腰，使膀臂有力。他覺得所經營有利的，他終夜不眠。他手拿弦線竿，手把紡線車。他將手杖制貧苦人，伸手幫助貧乏人。Let's bow down and pray. Dear God, thank you that you have created humans from dust, and when they finish their journey on earth and return to dust again, we thank you that Mrs. Lau has lived a blessed life, and she is resting peacefully now. In the Bible, you have mentioned so many great women, and in the books of Proverbs that we just read, that you have described the characters of a great woman should be. We know that Mrs. Lau had these characteristics. All her life was devoted to her husband, children, grandchildren, and helping the family business. Today, we mourn that Mrs. Lau's death was so sudden and heartbroken for all of us. But we thank God that she lived a long life, and there was no much physical pain when she left us. And she is in reunion with her husband now. May Mrs. Lau rest in peace, and may God give strength and peace to her family and during this difficult time. And also, I would like to pray for those who are here today and haven't known you yet, Lord. Please open their heart and let them sit and get to know you and receive the gift of eternal life. We thank you and pray in the name of Jesus. Amen. It's a good music selection, right? This is a loving memory of Mrs. Yuk Chen Wong Lao, the greatest mom, grandmother, great-grandmother, and a unique mother-in-law. On Friday, June 25, 2021, Yuk Chen Wong Lao, affectionately known as the education enforcer in life, peacefully passed away at the age of 93. Yuk Chen was born on November 10, 1928, in Jikong, China. Yuk Chen was truly blessed. She left behind two sons, Nelson and Joseph, three daughters, Jiying, Cecilia, and Agnes, son-in-law, Chilo, Robert, daughters-in-law, Kara, Yvette, had 6 grandchildren, 1 grandson-in-law, and 1 great-granddaughters. Though Yuk Chen did not have opportunity of any formal schooling herself, she was the greatest enforcer of her children's education. She, like her husband, she said, believed in Confucius' philosophy and principle of what you do not wish for yourself, do not do to others. In Chinese, 其舒乎己所不欲，勿施於人. She was a strong-willed woman, a dedicated housewife, a beloved mother, grandmother, and a great-grandmother. In Hong Kong, she was regarded as an exceptional cook when she cooked daily meals for the family and all the employees of family business. And the name is the Gold Star Fashion Tailor Shop. She continued her super chef role when she was arrived in Los Angeles in 1981 and proved dedicated for her grandchildren. In the leisure, she enjoyed traveling, played the game of mahjong, and walking. She even participated at the most senior walkers in the LA, China waterfall. And we will remember her dearly, miss her dearly. Thank you. And later on, that we will have a memorial service, a memorial video.
And relatives, thank you very much for taking the time during this stressful pandemic time to attend the memorial service of our mother, Yacheng Wong Lao. She passed away peacefully at 6:15 a.m. on 25th June 2021 at the age of almost 93. Instead of sadness on her passing, I would like everyone to enjoy the family's fond memories of her life. My mother was truly blessed. She leaves behind her 2 sons, me and Joseph, 3 daughters, Jiying, Cecilia, and Agnes, son-in-law Chilo and Robert, daughters-in-law Clara and Evita, her 6 grandchildren, Shirley, Li Young, Perlin, Jansen, Stephanie, and Brian. 1 grandson-in-law, Santiago, and 1 great-granddaughter, Madeline. My wife was a dedicated housewife, a beloved mom, grandmother, great-grandmother, and a unique mother-in-law. So I would like to say a few words about my mother's life history that she has shared with me. My mother was born in the village of Zhifang, Zhuji, Zhejiang province in China on November 10, 1928. Here's a great love story. When she was 17, while she and her cousin were busy piling the shells of the rice grains, a young man suddenly appeared in front of them. The young man was told by his relatives that he could pick one of the two girls to get acquainted with. Well, love at first sight, the young man picked the young and beautiful girl named Yajing. They got married shortly afterwards and lived happily thereafter. My mother was very productive. She gave birth to 7 children. However, 2 died prematurely. In 1950, my mother and my father decided to take a chance to cross the China southern border and escape to Hong Kong, where my father initially worked for a tailor shop, and my mother helped out in every way that she could in order to make a living. Gradually, they were able to save enough money to open their own tailor shop, the Golden Star Fashion Shop. In Hong Kong, she was regarded as an exceptional cook who cooked daily meals for nearly 30 years for the family, as well as for their employees, so up to 20 tailors. That was not an easy job. She continued her super chef role when she arrived in Los Angeles in 1981 and provided dedicated care of her grandchildren. Education enforcer. My mother was a very strong-willed person. She was illiterate and never had the opportunity of going to school because her father believed that girls didn't need to be educated. So he did not send her or allow her to go to school. As an adult, my mother realized and recognized the importance of education. So she made sure that her children would receive the best education possible and encouraged them to study hard. My mother was affectionately known as the education enforcer of her children. My mother had a strong sense of science and engineering. Sometimes she would ask me some questions that only an engineer or a scientist could have thought of. If she had been educated, allowed to go to school, she could have become a very successful scientist or engineer. My mother and my father were always kind to their workers who become their friends. I remember that they even helped out one drug addict tailor by allowing him to continue to work for them while they persuaded him to get rid of his drug addiction habit. Like my father, my mother believed in Confucius' philosophy and principles of what you do not wish for yourself, do not do to the others. My fond memory of my mother is that she always worried that the sky might fall. She was affectionately known as 喜人憂天, worrywart. In her leisure time, she enjoyed traveling, playing the games of mahjong, daily walking and running. At age from 70 to 83, she participated annually at the annual LA Chinatown Firecracker runs. She completed all her runs and was awarded the title of the most senior walker runner. Life is not a destination, but a journey. The journey of my mother's life lasts 92 plus years, just a few months short of 93. I asked my son Jensen to visually capture our mom's life journey on a video. You can view this video on YouTube. Link search address Momo Memorial. The success of the memorial service and video is a credit to the great team effort. I would like to thank the following members of the team: Cecilia and Annis for coordinating the event planning for this memorial service, Clara for memorial procedural and editorial guidance, Jensen for preparing the wonderful Momo Memorial video. And all those, Annis, Angel, Brian, Cecilia, Clara, Jensen, Curly, Nelson, and Stephanie, who provided these memorable photos for the video. Joseph and Evita for traveling all the way, risking their health in flying from Atlanta by plane during this time of the pandemic. And Mr. Alfred Wong for scriptures, spiritual prayers, guidance, and obituary. And Mr. John Wong for memorial service, procedural guidance. And all Rose Hill Memorial Service staff for their professional services. Now I would like to ask anybody, Cecilia, you want to say a few words?
I'm going to tell a little bit of my mom's early life story, which some might feel unthinkable only happened in movies. Mom had a bitter childhood. Grandmother died due to domestic violence from husband when mom was only 12. And irresponsible, 重男輕女嘅 father, patriarchal. Thus, my mother never had the chance for even one day schooling. At age 17, she married my father to avoid raping from the children during Japanese invasion war. Being married did not make her life easy. It was worse. She was married into a very poor family with a very dominant and controlling mother-in-law. She endured the pain of losing her first son after birth due to her mother-in-law's superstitious and was forced to dump the 1-week-old baby in a pig farm to just let him die. After, also her 2 other infants were taken away from her right after birth. My older brother Nelson and the other elder sister Jiying in China. They were given to a foster mom to raise, and my mom was forced to be a nanny by using her own breast milk to feed the baby of rich Shanghai family to earn money to support my dad's family. Due to my mom's natural beauty at youth, all the rich masters want her to be their mistress by showing her gifts with stacked money. But my mother has high moral standards. She resists the temptation and she was faithful to my father even though she had continued suppressing her helplessness and unreasonable demand from mother-in-law and a penniless husband. In 1951, my mother went to Hong Kong to be reunited with Dad. She endured more pain on losing another son at the age of 2 who died of measles. It was due to poverty that my parents could not afford timely medical treatment. I want to honor my mom's accomplishment after all the painful experience and hardship she sustained. In 1955, after I was born, Mom encouraged Dad to work hard and save money to open his own tailor shop, Gam Sing, in Kowloon Sing, Kowloon City. She was determined to provide us with an opportunity for education so we will have a better life. Mom was very strict to me. and I got a lot of harsh punishment when performed poorly in school. By today's standard, it's considered as child abuse, but I never hold any grudge against Mom because I knew she was a good mom, and that was the only way she knew at that time to discipline me. My mom was very blessed in keeping long-term friendship with many of my childhood friends and high school friends more than 60 and 50 years up till her passing. All remember Mom's warmth and delicious cooking. My friend in the US here and overseas make extra effort to visit Mom at Emerson Home, Monty Park Nursing Home, and whenever Mom and Agnes visit Hong Kong. This kind of true friendship is precious, so precious that money can't buy. Not too many people have experienced this kind of friendship or relationship from their children's friends. I'm glad that I have spent half day on June 24 morning, caring and keeping my mom's company, kiss and held her hand while we watched TV together before her June 25th passing. I'm also grateful for Sister Agnes' devotion and care to my parents. She is the best daughter to my parents. Mom, please don't worry about Agnes. I will continue to be her big sister to care and provide her free shelter at my home as I promised you since her arrival in late 1984 from Hong Kong. Like I did for the last 34 years to provide free shelter at Emerson House for you, Dad, and Agnes. I just want to say, on behalf of my mother, that always want me to say to her favorite son-in-law, thank you for your generosity and kindness towards them. You have been quietly bearing the financial burden on the Emerson property for all this year, helping me to keep my promise to parents since 1984. Not too many son-in-law can or are willing to make that kind of sacrifice. Mom, Agnes will be well taken care of, so rest in peace with that. 媽媽，你唔需要擔心，我會一直會好好照顧芳芳，你同爸爸好好安息。
Thank you for the guests coming to this event. And I'm the second son. I was born in 1956. Right after I'm the son was born after my other brother passed away at 2 years old, chicken pox, measles. And then my mother just wanted to make sure. She just wanted to make sure this son would never die. So I become her favorite son, and she take very good care of me. And when I was young, just like every little kid, did not focus on study. She would make sure I study. And later on, she told me when she came to Hong Kong, because she does not know how to read things. One time she was in the elevator, helped my father deliver some product to the customer, and she was asking the people in the elevator how to get to this floor, and she does not speak fluent Cantonese language, but she can understand what they are saying. The people in the elevator said, this woman can't even read anything. So sad. So she take that in heart. She said, my children are going to study, and I will make sure they will study. So as a child, she would take me to school, and during exam week, she'll be sitting there watching me study. So she is a very dedicated mother. I'll never forget her dedication. And then she constantly remind me, you have to study and make something for yourself. So after I graduate, I try my best with the help of my wife, Evita, to take them to many places to travel. So they've been traveling many places, and they really enjoy. I'm so glad Evita make the arrangement to travel when they can still move around. So they've been traveling to Europe, and Agnes accompany them all the time, and they travel to China quite a few times. And so my mother is kind of the matriarch of the family. She makes sure everybody do good. I would never forget this woman give birth to me. Thank you.
Thank you everyone to come to my mom's funeral. I would like to say something is that my mom was a very strong and hardworking woman through her life journey and since her childhood. She always stayed independent as much as possible to take care of herself and enjoy taking shower on her own without asking any help. But of course, I will ask to keep an eye on her. I living with my parents and care for each other since 1984 for almost 35 years. We never separated from each other until last year I lost my dad and this year I lost you. Every morning, before I leaving to work, I always kiss my mom, and I would tell her that I will see you in 8 hours. When she saw my car pass by the driveway, she would immediately tell the caretaker to open the door for me. The minute when she saw me walk in, she was so happy, laughing and clapping her hand to welcome me home, and always said, "Fong Fong family, Anna's coming home." From now on, I will never hear this clapping sound anymore, but it will stay in my heart forever deeply. And Mom, you don't need to worry about me. Okay, you already finished your journey and stay in the heaven with them, happy forever. I will stay strong and stay with Cecilia, my sister Cecilia, and continue to live well until the day we meet again. And also, I would like to take this opportunity to thank my sister Cecilia and my brother-in-law Bob to provide me and my parents a shelter for the last 35 years with your kindness, support, and your generous. Thank you. Brian, if you want to say.
Hello everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Brian. I'm one of our grandchildren. Thank you for everyone that came out to pay your respects to our wonderful grandmother. The day that I heard the news of my grandmother passing was so painful. It was hard to find words to describe that feeling. She was such a major part of my childhood when I was growing up. To this day, when I think of my grandparents, it instantly brings me back to preschool when my agong, my grandpa, would pick me up on the back of his bicycle from Happy Days preschool. And when I got back to my grandparents' house, there would always be a delicious meal my grandmother prepared specifically for my taste. Because she knew I was such a picky eater as a child, to this day I can still taste the amazing soy sauce chicken wings and fried rice she would always make me because she knew it was my favorite. I will forever regret not learning how to speak Chinese fluently, so I could have learned so much more about her life and the knowledge that she had. However, I will always cherish the memories and times that I spent with her. The way that she would say cheese Every time we took family photos, playing mahjong with her on Christmas and the Chinese New Year's. Sorry, 1 second. And the happiest moment I will remember her by is when we were playing mahjong last Christmas and my Auntie Agnes fell off her chair. Grandma started laughing hysterically, almost to the point it was a little mean. It was literally the hardest I've ever seen her laugh. But while she was laughing, she looked so happy with such a great big smile. And that's the last image I would like to have, or a picture of her in my mind when I think of her. Enjoying the time spent with her family with a big smile on her face. Now that you're resting peacefully, Grandma, and reunited with Grandpa, I'm sure the heaven you're in has the ability to translate these words of appreciation for me. Thank you for everything you did, not just for me, but our whole family. I love you. You were such a great, amazing wife, mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, and we will all miss you and your presence. But nothing can take away the great memories we will all cherish of you. And the time we spent with you. Thank you for all your sacrifice, because without you, none of us would be here. Rest in peace, and I hope wherever your spirit brings you next is filled with more happiness than you could ever ask for. You will always be in our hearts. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jensen. I'm one of her grandchildren. Yeah, even though I would say they definitely, my grandparents, is this? Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
I would say that I think a lot of the grandchildren, we're very lucky to have our grandparents in our lives. We were fortunate enough to have a very intimate relationship. Brian kind of touched on our grandparents always being there after school, picking us up, catching a ride on the back of my grandpa's bicycle. I think those are definitely a lot of fond moments in there. I think there's definitely a theme with my grandmother as far as education and food. There was definitely two things. She would ask me if I had homework to do, and there was always food. And one of the stories that she would always tell me over and over again, but I would never get tired of it, was saying, yeah, when I was small, I loved chicken porridge. And she would say, you're in the chair, you couldn't even speak, but you would not only eat one, not two, 3 bowls every time of chicken porridge. And so, yeah, she definitely nurtured the eater in me, and definitely encouraged the aspect of education. And I think what we have here is definitely the product of her passion for that. She was not fortunate enough to go to school, but she left behind a family of doctors, engineers, professionals, and I think when I think back about our family's story, it's definitely very inspirational, and I would definitely say it's definitely motivated me and given me perspective of what can be done, and the importance to have a goal and definitely strive for it. So I think she would be, I know she was very proud of us, and I would would say that she's definitely left her mark on the world and made it definitely a better place. And you know, I think she's definitely inspired me to keep pushing and striving. You know, from where the family was in China, they're very poor, agriculture background, and taking an opportunity to immigrate for a better opportunity and coming all the way over here. So she's definitely been an inspiration. So she will definitely be missed.
Hi everybody, thank you for coming again. It means a lot to me that more people were able to attend this event than the one for my grandfather. We've heard many great stories about my grandma. I always knew she was a force to be reckoned with. My dad would always say that she was very strong-willed. I could see that, and that she really did have pride in us in continuing our education. I do remember Yaya picking me up from the bike from school, and then we would just do our homework, and she would make sure that we would get it done. She did value education, and one story I did want to share was that there was a senior center near the house, and her and Yaya would go take classes to make sure that they would learn their numbers or ABCs or days of the week. So even in their later advanced age, they would always ask us about their homework and try to get that done for their next day of school. I always thought that was very cute. And I know that my grandma loved us very much. And I'm gonna miss her. I wanted to spend more time with her, but due to the circumstances, we didn't visit her often just for fear of getting her sick. But I'm glad towards the end we were able to visit her a little bit more. And I am so grateful that we went there for Father's Day the week before her passing. I was already making plans to go visit her the following weekend, so it was a complete shock when Auntie Agnes called me that day to say that she had passed. But I'm very grateful for the time that we shared with her. I think we are very lucky to have had our grandparents for most of our adult life. And I'm very glad that she was able to meet her great-granddaughter and spend the last several weeks with her. Thank you again for attending. It really means a lot. Can everybody hear me okay? No?
Speak up.
Oh, how about now?
Move the mic.
Oh. Sorry, I'm a little bit taller, so maybe that's an adjustment. Thank you everybody for joining us today. I think my brother and my cousins kind of shared some of the warm and fond memories that we all had together as a family. I know we are exceptionally lucky as a family to have cherished so many memories and built so many memories over the last few years, and be fortunate enough, I know, on both of our sides, to have lived great lives with all of our respective grandparents. And I can say that probably long life genes really run in our family, as both of our grandparents lived well on to their 90s, and I'd like to think that Grandma is actually the original frontier and ambassador of the plant-based diet, because I think that kind of kept her as healthy and vibrant, smart and intelligent, and a nurturing, family member to us all. It was one of the things that I think that I took for granted as a child was realizing how together our family really was and how fortunate we really were. And a lot of the times we'd all congregate together. And when I say together, I don't mean just, us and our grandparents. Respectively, Auntie Agnes, our family of four, Uncle Nelson, and Auntie Clara, and Jensen and Perlin. And this would happen every day. We would eat dinner together, and I think in modern day values, we probably don't prize those types of experiences as much because we're just so busy. But I think those memories are something, and those values are something that I hope to instill in my future family, because those are the simple and the smallest things that really mean the most. And not only that, I just remember as a child, I would always be so frustrated, like, why do we have to wait for everybody to come back before we can just start eating? But now I look back on it, and that table, that oblong table that was at Grandma's house, that was the tiniest table for probably the 11 of us. It shared so many memories, and we'll be forever thankful for all the great meals that we had that were representative of her love for us. Because bless her, she used to always prepare like 6 to 7 dishes for us every night with a beautiful soup that she had stewed all day long. And that helped to raise us into the powerful, loving people that we are today. As you know, like many Asians aren't really fond of words. When sharing their emotions, they kind of share their love through food and family. But I definitely feel that strength and that power and that love that she shared with us, and I will always remember it forever. So with that said, my grandma was really a role model for us all. And not only that, I'd like to say she's probably the CEO of the Lau household. She ran the ship quite efficiently. And really did a good job of showing us kind of the power and strength of women, which I'll carry on into my life as I continue to represent our family as one of the grandchildren. So thank you all for joining, and I couldn't be more blessed, I think, to have shared again these memories with such a loving grandparent. And similar to Perlin, I'm just so happy that we're able to have more people celebrate kind of her life and her journey with us as the head of household of the Lau family. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Clara Lau, and I'm Mrs. Lau's daughter-in-law. And so I met my husband in college, and at that time, when I met him, and he just seemed so full of stories of the Chinese history, and I found it very interesting. And he was just very sweet, very nice, very, very. So when he asked if we could get to know each other better, I thought about what does this mean? Because at that time, Asians stayed in one corner. He would come to campus and just stayed in one table in the cafeteria, one section. Then you had Hispanics, then you had Blacks, and really there wasn't that much integration. And so yeah, we thought we would really enjoy each other's company until our old age. So then I met my mother-in-law. And then, as my husband was saying, that life is a journey, it's not a destination. So, and then he went to Hong Kong and announced that he was thinking of getting married. And she was overjoyed, absolutely overjoyed. Of course, she's Chinese. And he said, well, no, she's not. And so immediately she talked to her friends, and they said, "Oh, a foreigner." And so she told me when she arrived that she cried, and she cried in Hong Kong. And but what's interesting is that she did make the trip, and she went to the wedding. So I would say that I was a witness to the the way it would evolve for Mrs. Lau, from having been shocked to actually going to the wedding. And my husband said, "Well, shall we go on our honeymoon, or what shall we do? The people from New York and here, his parents from Hong Kong." And I said, "No, we should stay, and we should be the guides, and we should show them around while they're here." And so, of course, we had already bought a house. It was being built, and so while it was being built, we rented an apartment. And I immediately told Nelson, "No, everybody is here. Everybody will come and stay in our apartment." So Mrs. Lau was mentioned how a good Chinese wife was. Bring the slippers to the husband when he arrived home. I said, "Okay." Be sure to cook. Oh, okay. Fortunately, my husband said that he loves Chinese food. He knew I didn't know how to cook Chinese food. I didn't have to worry about that. So I figured, wow, that's good. So then on our wedding night, I bid farewell to everybody. We're going to our own room. And then Mrs. Lau entered. And I thought, this is interesting. And so she made herself into our bed, and she made herself very comfortable. My husband was not there yet. So I thought, is this something else I have to learn? What is going on? I was brought up by very conservative parents, always honored the elderly. I went to a high school with nuns, being nice to people, so I didn't know how to react. But I didn't say anything, and I thought, okay, it must be a new Chinese way of doing things. So I made myself comfortable, just waiting to see what's next. And then my husband came in, and then he saw his mom, but he didn't say anything. He just went into the bed. So here, I'm thinking, when does this end? What else done? No, she stayed the whole night. And then afterwards, in the morning, she just left. And no one ever mentioned it again. So I really don't know. Is that the usual for new Chinese brides? I'm still not quite sure. But I said it was an involvement, where she had said it was a foreigner, and I took that as being a welcoming sign. She must really love me. And so then afterwards, just seeing the way she actually was very warm. And when my children said that she loved education, I came home at one point, and Perlin was saying, "Bussy, bussy." And I thought, what is bussy? So I asked Nelson, is this a Chinese word, or is this a wood word? Because I know I was teaching her Spanish, and she was learning Mandarin, and where did bussy fit? And so he said, "Well, my mother's trying to teach them English." And I thought, oh, that's very nice of her. I said, but I would like her to teach them Chinese, and then I'll teach them Spanish, and then they'll learn English. So it was, as I said, a journey kind of going through. She did, was very helpful for the children. They did take them to school in the bicycle, Mr. Lau in the back seat or in the front for Philip. And I didn't know that until after she was in college, when she saw this little Chinese carrying a little girl in the basket. And she said, "You know, Mom, that reminds me of my childhood." And I said, "Why, honey?" Because Grandpa would always put me in the basket to take me to nursery school. And so I didn't know that. I was shocked, because they didn't have their helmet and so forth. But at the same time, I thought that is certainly very kind, and they looked after my children very well. So I think that Mrs. Lau was constantly evolving, and towards we would go, let's see, I liked taking my mother out in her older age. My mother was in her 90s as well. And so I always invited my mother out to eat every single night, took her out anywhere. Somebody was having a birthday, I took her. So then I also would invite Mrs. Lau and tell Nelson, let's go to a restaurant, be sure your mother. So we ended up going a lot out. And so it was kind of like the Three Musketeers, my mother, Mrs. Lau, and myself. And when Agnes could join us also. And she was forever patting me. She was forever embracing me, kissing me. So I say that was an involvement. And so towards the last few weeks, she kept looking at me and saying a lot of things I couldn't understand what she was saying, because I still haven't learned Mandarin, the Cantonese, the Shanghainese. So I asked Agnes, what is your mother telling you? And she said, Clara, I thought about how you've been with the family, how open you've been in receiving my children, and in your home, when you had the apartment, when you had the house, and she said that she appreciated everything that I had ever done for the family, and she said that I was her treasure, and she loved me a lot. And so, she every time she saw me, she'd always embrace me. So I thought that from having been familiar with another culture and so forth, to all of a sudden embracing and being there all the time, being loving for my children, being loving for my husband, I admire her. I think she was inspirational. I saw this involvement, this huge exchange, and I think she made the world a better world. Thank you very much.
I am Avita Lau, Joseph's wife. I would like to say a few words about my mother-in-law, whom I call Mama. She was like a second mother to me. She could not speak, and she could not read and she could not write, but she was a tremendous storyteller. She told me her life story since the beginning, and I would listen to her over and over again. I told her many times, if I were a writer, I would write a book, it would be this thick. And she was kind, and she was always happy to see me and us. And we have traveled around the world, and I would remember her. She would be always in my heart. Mama, 一路好走. On sick, and you will see Father, and someday we'll meet again. And you are in my heart, and I will always, always remember you. Let me call you one more time, Mama. They're on sick. Thank you.
The family want to express their sincere gratitude to every one of you came here this morning to honor and to pay the last respect to their mom and grandma. The family would like to invite all of you to have a lunch banquet at after the burial service at NBC Chinese Seafood Restaurant in Montreal Park. The family member will hand out the address and direction to the restaurant after the burial service. On a last note, that we just heard from the restaurant that because of the rapid rise of the COVID cases, and they just told us that they only accommodate for the guests who are vaccinated. So please, thank you very much and for your understanding.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for being here today to attend the memorial service of Mrs. Lau Wong Yat Chen. And at this time, we would like to conclude the service. Alright? So before we closing the casket, we would like to invite everyone to come forward to have a last viewing. And then the family will be lined up right here. So please offer your condolences to the family. And after that, please return to your vehicle and prepare to follow the funeral course to the gravesite for the burial service. Alright? During the processions, will you please turn on your emergency lights? Alright? And after viewing for the pallbearers, please remain inside the tank right here. Alright? And the restroom will be on my left hand side. And yeah, please use if you would like to use the restroom, please do so before you return to your vehicle. Alright? Thank you. Okay, 家人出嚟。we're going to start from my right hand side. All the guests will be stand up and move to my left hand side there and come forward. Immediate family members to stand up here. This way. All the guests will on the right hand side. Please stand up to my left hand side. 大家可以买一件哈，我们大家是我站在某个左手的是吧？你们等一下哈，你们这边呢不要 OK。
running without your eyes.
Immediate family members whom we have a last viewing. Yeah. OK 人唔好走，就會落飛嚇。我哋呢隻就潑發聲嚇，睇咗之後大家企翻嚟呢個。 everyone, please come forward right here. I'm going to witness for the cooking process. 大人啊，大人过来，大人啊。
Oh, okay.
Okay. 开始哈。好，不要提醒。你呢個叫 send 嚟啦。你大嘅你個獎佢嚟呢度，見唔見？唔係俾佢打機嘅要求啊。喺 send 佢。你4個 percent 嘅。有中間啊，有中間。Very safe, huh? Very safe, yeah. Okay, you come over here. 你得嗎？你俾你後生仔企中間上邊啦。Okay, ready? Okay, the rest of the families, members,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.